Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Skip Elsheimer, and this is the avgeeks Lunchtime Streaming Show. We just watched some glorious stock footage shot for Coronet films that they either used or didn't use in production, and then they put on these reels. So it's all this silent camera original material. It's beautiful, beautifully shot. But it's silent. There's no soundtrack. I just wanted to say right off the bat, thank you, Have a Ham, and thank you, D-Dodge Silver, for coffee. It's right here. I point at it. I didn't say anything. So there's a link here I'm pointing at, which you can buy a coffee for AV Geeks, and that's a great way to say that you like what we're doing, or at least are interested in what we're doing. D-Dodge Silver supposedly watches this at night. And really enjoys it. So thank you so much for that. We've watched more than 1,250 films since mid-March. And some of you have been along for the whole time, and I gotta say thank you so much for that. It's been a lot of fun. I really am digging it. I'm digging discovering new stuff that we haven't seen before, or unearthing stuff that I haven't shown in quite a while. And I appreciate you guys being there for that. My heart goes out to everybody who doesn't have power or is suffering through winter storms in an area that's not used to winter storms. We certainly go through that here in Raleigh, North Carolina, whenever there's snow. We just got rain. We didn't really get any winter weather. We might get a little tonight, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm reminded of the time, it was at least 15 years ago, where we had an ice storm, and it took out like trees in every single neighborhood in the Triangle. And so there were places with no power for a week. And my girlfriend and I, we had iguanas, so we had to sleep with our iguanas so they wouldn't freeze to death, which is not an experience I would totally recommend. It was a very odd experience. And eventually we ended up having to sleep at my work, which had power. And this is like in downtown Raleigh, like close to the state capitol and everything. And the place I worked at was actually right near the capitol. And so they were on a power grid that was safe and it was up and running, whereas all the neighborhoods were out. And so I feel for you guys, and I might show a film related to winter stuff later today, if it downloads in time. Okay, anyways, so it's been a while since I've shown a Sid Davis film. Sid Davis, of course, has been named by Ken Smith, who wrote Mental Hygiene, as the King of Calamity, and I think he's basically made the same film over and over and over and over again. The first film he made was Dangerous Stranger, which is basically alerting kids to the dangers of strangers. But he remade that film at least 3 times. And then he basically had different variations on the same theme. And this one's called Strangers. So it's the same, the same film. I mean, it's differently done, but the message is exactly the same. And I think he just updated it. So here's Strangers.
Every day we meet new people who are strangers. Sometimes we meet them with our parents or our teachers or with other adults. But sometimes we meet them when we're alone. Most of these strangers are nice people, but there are some who are not. And therefore we have rules about how to meet strangers when we are alone. This is Terry, and she's on her way home from school. On the way home, Terry always stops at this store, even if it's only to window shop. Terry's parents have told her never to take money or candy from strangers. Terry remembers and politely says, "No, thank you." Terry's friend, the salesgirl, wonders who the stranger is that is talking to her. When the stranger offers to take Terry home in his car, she remembers what her parents and teachers have told her. Never take rides with persons you don't know, and always get the license number of the car of any stranger who asks you to go with him, and try to remember his description. Then tell your parents or your teacher about it. Some children attempted to try to get home sooner by hitching rides. But a wise boy knows never to take a ride from a person he doesn't know. He may even have an accident if he's a bad driver. If you ever see any of your friends doing this, remind them of the danger. If they still go, take down the license number of the car. Remember to walk straight home from school. Always take the same safe route, the one your parents know and have told you to take. Your parents know just how long it will take you and will worry if you're late. Avoid shortcuts through alleys and empty side streets. Freddie's dog got away from him and ran into a strange, deserted place, and of course, he's worried and wants to go in after him. Yes, he wants to go in after him, but he remembers in time. His parents have told him never to go into a strange, isolated place alone, so before going any further, he returns home to ask his father to help him find his dog. Yes, there he is. Freddie found his dog the right way, with one of his parents along. He remembered that he must never go to or play in a strange or deserted place alone. Even though you may know never to take anything from strangers or go with them, there are some children who are too small to know the right thing to do. If you see any of your friends about to make a mistake, you can help. It is important never to take anything from a stranger or to go with a stranger anywhere, even if he seems to know you, or tells you that your parents sent him to pick you up. If you don't know the person, don't go with him. When you are in the park, always play in the areas that are set aside as playgrounds. Not in bushes, like this, or in culverts, caves, old shacks, or places like that. And never hang around or play where the restrooms are. Everyone knows that the playgrounds are the most fun. Here is a girl being asked directions by a stranger. She knows what to do. Politely, the girl gives the man the information and points the way. But when the stranger asks her to go with him and show him the way, she of course refuses. If strangers ask directions, be polite and tell them, but never go with them to show them the way, even if they ask you. At times, you may meet a lot of strangers. At Halloween, for example, if you go out for trick-or-treat. But don't go out alone. Go with a friend or two. It's more fun that way, and stay in your own neighborhood. You may be out selling Girl Scout cookies or collecting papers for a paper drive. Whatever the reason, it is important to remember never to go into a stranger's home even if you are invited. It is always a good idea if you are out calling on people to have a grown-up take you and wait for you. When you go to the movies, you will be among a lot of strangers. It's a good idea when you go to the theater always to go with some friends if an adult cannot go with you. If you have to go alone, sit among other children. Now let us see what we have learned about how to act with strangers. Never take anything from a stranger. Never go anywhere with a stranger. Get the license number of the car of any stranger who asks you to go with him, and remember his description. Never take a ride with a stranger. After school, go directly home. Always take the same safe route, and no shortcuts through alleys or empty side streets. Never go alone or play in strange or deserted places. In the park, play in the areas set aside as playgrounds, not in the bushes or near the restrooms. If a stranger asks directions, be polite and tell him if you know. But it's important never to go anywhere with a stranger. When you are out meeting a lot of strangers, be with friends or have a grown-up accompany you. Never go into any stranger's home even if you are invited. If you go to the movies without an adult, always sit with your friends or among other children. Those who know and love you will be proud that you remember and follow these rules each and every day.
Yeah, so that's pretty much par for the course for Sid Davis. And supposedly he got, this is anecdotal, but he got his start after there was some publicized child kidnapping / killing in his area, and he asked his daughter what she would do if she was confronted by a stranger, and was shocked to discover that she didn't seem to have any sense that strangers could be dangerous. So he felt like he had to do something, and he approached the person he was a stand-in for, John Wayne, and approached him for some money to make a film, and supposedly that's how Dangerous Stranger was made. And so that's how Sid Davis films kind of got started. And wildly successful, very much introduced the concept of, well, didn't introduce the concept, but helped perpetuate the concept of stranger danger, and actually visually showed some urban legends related to stranger danger, and kind of freaked everybody out for a long time. So here's the Sid Davis. All right, time to watch a film that's on the film transfer machine here. It is a plea from the U.S. Post Office to say, like, hey, we're not perfect, but we're trying. We're trying so hard. So my heart goes out. I actually have a very good relationship with my local post office. Although a lot of the people that I work with there have since retired, but I still very much respect what they do. They're not the most efficient, but you know what? Sometimes they're better than FedEx or UPS. I mean, I have a good relationship with all my delivery people. And so, but I have a great deal of respect for the post office. So here is More and Louder.
This is about the U.S. mail. People always did care about it, but back in early 1970, the United States mail became a matter of real concern.
It's kind of bad. Like I say to folks at home, how come you never write me, right? Like, I'm up here, I'm lonely, will you write me? And then they say, well, I do. We wrote you a couple letters, but like they don't come.
Where is the address anyway? Oh, right here. Mommy, I don't think I know how to make a 5.
Yeah. It's running a tremendous deficit every year. The service is not getting any better.
Yeah, given their enormous load, they're doing astoundingly well, but they're fantastically inefficient, and they could do a heck of a lot better, I expect, under the new system.
Everybody felt the service was deteriorating.
Do you think it's going to get to Daddy today?
I doubt it.
Of course, the postal system had come a long way since Ben Franklin switched back and forth from kite flying and revolution to supervising the mail. It grew up. They've come a long way, and they've still got some to go. Comes 5 o'clock, and in some places, the big change in close to 200 years is simply more and louder. And the load will not stop. In 1900, the post office handled 7 billion pieces of mail. It'll be close to 120 billion before 1980. A critical situation. What with politics, rules, regulations, a hodgepodge of layers of law, the managers didn't run the post office, they just sort of administered it. If they needed a new building, they had to go to Congress. Money for new equipment? Go to Congress. A new location. A wage increase. A change in rates. Congress had to approve. And Congress has a lot of other things on its mind. Some things certainly should be political. Some should not. In 1970, the President of the United States signed into law an act designed to take the business of handling mail out of politics. to establish a postal system independent within the government, able to set postal rates and raise its own capital for change and growth. Simple words, but a whole new ballgame. What will the changes be? On the inside, it means professionals at every level, the ability to plan and act on the plan in a long period of shaping up. But to the public, the questions are a little more personal. Well, what new services can I expect? Will the rates go up? Will deliveries improve? How will they handle parcels? Will they be closing places up?
Do you think we'll get there by tomorrow?
In the last 10 years, private industry's productivity increased close to 40%. The post office's increase was less than 3%. Lopsided, but logical. The communications industry in general backs up each worker with $35,000 worth of hardware. In the post office until 1970, it wasn't much over $1,200. This has got to change. It means mechanization in the right place at the right time. Aim? To take the burden off the human eye and arm and extend them. Keep it all moving right through the process. It'll take years, but this kind of mechanized magic is beginning now. Get rollers and electric eyes to extract nonconformist packages, airmail, hotel keys, wallets, and offbeat envelopes from the mainstream. Find the stamp and cancel it. Carry mail on its way with speed and accuracy as never before. Sophisticated coders can put an address code right on the envelope that will route any letter to its destination automatically by best route, best transportation. And at its destination, let machines read the code and sort again, not only by address, but right down to a particular letter carrier route. And someday in the exact sequence he needs for delivery. Not yet, but coming. Machines and coding gadgets can handle parcels too, but separate from letter mail. It's not sensible to handle salamis and postcards on the same production line. Stations and new parcel networks will be out of the hurly-burly of downtown, in outlying locations with easy access to airplanes and highways. Even more is coming. Companies who send a lot of mail, like bills, can use standardized envelopes and address type. Electronic scanners can actually read these addresses at a rate of 84,000 an hour and code the envelopes for destination. Someday, maybe people can enter codes in advance, saving even that step. This kind of mail handling is not a dream. It can happen. But one thing it takes is money. What the public pays for postage goes to salaries, maintenance, indebtedness, the general cost of running the operation. But to raise investment capital, for the first time, the system is now able to issue bonds, to borrow on the open market, not go to Congress hat in hand. What products and services does the future hold for customers? There are no final answers, but a lot of ideas are being tried out. How about a special kind of mail, where people can use pre-marked envelopes or containers for a small premium, earmarked for fast service, like one-day delivery when it really is important? How about courier service? Combinations of radio, teletype, or TV and delivery, so messages can be transmitted instantaneously across the country or overseas and hand-delivered. These are only examples. The question now is, what do we need? What will we buy?
$4,000.
Well, I guess I'll have to have 2 American flags then.
You want 200? All right.
Whoever we are, wherever we are, the United States Postal Service, already handling more mail than the rest of the world combined, will reach out and find us. It still belongs to all the people. And the new United States Postal Service emblem, a symbol of change, will be appearing everywhere to show it. Of course, few changes will come overnight. Some will hardly be noticed.
Letter for me?
A letter for you? Well, I don't know. We'll just have to take a look in here and see. Go up here and take a good look. What's your name?
Craig.
Craig who?
Chicken.
Craig Ficken. I've got a letter here from Master Craig Ficken from a James H. Ficken. Who's this James H. Ficken?
My father.
That's your daddy? Oh,
Yeah.
Goodness.
Look, I got a letter for my daddy. Don't wave it.
What's your name?
I don't live here.
Of course, some things are probably not going to change much at all. There's still going to have to be that man or woman out there meeting the people and delivering the mail. The fact is, after all the words, that's what they're selling, wherever it takes them.
I love it. I love it. Films like that are great because there's a sense of apology and bear with us. And also it's kind of hip and interesting from the 70s. And then the animation of the U.S. Post Office flying saucer delivering mail to another planet and the mail carrier being chased by an alien. I don't know. It just kind of warms my heart a little bit on this cold day. Bananas. Yes, bananas.
Heading southward to the tropical crossroads of the Caribbean, we arrived in the land of bananas, a gift of the tropical Americas to the world. Yes, bananas. Millions of them are cultivated in Central America, Upper South America, and the West Indies. A suitable site in this jungle area is selected, and the dense tropical forest is cut away to clear the land for the new banana plantation. Experts on tropical soils test and record the fertility of this area. Meanwhile, the survey department at plantation headquarters charts the portions to be planted. With this razor-sharp blade, the machete, the native workers attack the tropical undergrowth to clear the way for planting. For banana plants cannot flourish if choked by the surrounding jungle. Lining and staking operations call for skilled laborers. The distances between plantings are measured off accurately in each direction by a pole 14 feet long. The digging of drainage ditches is necessary in this humid country, where the annual rainfall is from 80 to 200 inches. Bananas thrive in water-enriched soil, but too much moisture may ruin them. The ever-faithful mule shoulders a burden of rootstocks for planting. As the seeds of the banana are rarely developed, planting is done with these rootstocks of another healthy plant. These eyes, similar to the eyes of a potato, develop into shoots 2 months after planting. The strongest shoot will develop into a large banana plant. The others are cut away. Before the young plants lift their leafy shoots to the azure sky, the forest trees are felled. This may be one man's work if the trees are small, but these large tropical giants have resisted the axes of 6 men for many days. Constant cleaning up of the jungle growth around the new 3-month-old plant is necessary to ensure proper growth. After 6 months, the plant towers high above the native worker. Because of improper cleaning up operations, of these 2 6-month-old plants, the one on the right is smaller. We are cutting away a section of a 9-month-old plant, and here we see the stem which actually bears the fruit going up through the center. By removing the outer layers of overlapping leaves, we expose the plant's one bunch of fruit in embryo form, for only one stem of bananas grows on each plant. The banana plant, because of its size, is often called a tree. This is not true, as the plant contains no wood. Its makeup consists simply of tightly wrapped overlapping leaves. In 12 to 15 months, the plant has developed mature fruit ready for cutting. During this time, the stem or bunch has increased in weight to nearly 65 pounds, has bent over, and the bananas now point upward and outward. Relying on modern radio stations, plantation managers are able at all times to coordinate cutting orders with the arrival of the fruit ships. With the latest radio order just received, cutting crews, each consisting of a cutter, backer, and mule man, enter a plantation's interior. Experienced cutters can tell by the size and color of bananas when they are ready for cutting. Using a special knife with a long handle, the cutter carefully nicks the trunk of the plant. The weight of the bunch of bananas pulls the upper part of the plant down to the backer, who receives the fruit on his shoulder. After the bunch has been severed from the plant and its blossom end cut off, it is stacked, waiting to be carried by muleback to a loading station of the tramway. Even for use in the tropics, bananas are always cut, greened, and ripened off the plant. A plant-ripened banana is unpleasantly mealy and has little flavor. Emerging from the plantation area with a load of freshly cut fruit, the mule man leads his sturdy mule to the tramcar loading platform, where the green bananas are unloaded at the nearby siding. It is easy to see here why railroads are so important to banana plantations. First by tiny gauge tram, and then by medium gauge fruit train, the bananas must be carried from the plantations to the docks. Loading of a fruit train is done with considerable care. The interior of a car is padded with soft banana leaves for protection, and careful inspection must take place before the bunches enter the cars, where the overripe fruit is rejected. As fast as the fruit is harvested, train loads containing thousands of bunches are hauled to the various loading ports, where air-conditioned ships call almost every day in the year. The arrival of a banana boat in the Caribbean always causes considerable excitement. The wharves bustle with activity, as 50,000 bunches must be dispatched in about 12 hours. After careful inspection and counting of the bunches, the ship is loaded both by means of this fantastic loading machine of soft canvas pockets and also by continuous belts. And before the fruit reaches the depths of the ship, it is given a final inspection. With her cargo safely on board, the specially designed refrigerated steamship weighs anchor. Constant care is given the fruit en route, and day and night the temperature in the storage compartments is checked and recorded, so that the fruit may not ripen too quickly. The cargo of green fruit arrives at one of the many banana ports in the United States. The unloading machinery is lowered into the ship, and canvas shields are used to protect the fruit from cold winds or hot sun during the unloading operation. Taken from the pockets of the unloader are thousands of stems representing millions of individual bananas. Several hundred men in one day can unload and classify a shipload of fruit according to quality, condition, and the number of hands or clusters on each stem. There are enough bananas in this ship to fill 100 freight cars. To maintain the proper temperature in these insulated cars, they are heated in winter and ice-cooled in summer. To prevent improper ripening in transit, special inspectors bore the trains periodically to check the fruit's condition. From the railroad cars, the bananas are transferred to ripening rooms, where they are ripened to a golden yellow color before being sold to millions of consumers, serving as banana scallops, fruit plate, tea bread, baked bananas, cream pie, coconut rolls, and as mashed ripe bananas, now recommended by leading physicians as one of the first solid foods for babies. Once regarded as a luxury, today bananas find a place on everyone's table. Yes, bananas, a gift from tropical America to the world.
So great. I think I was reading an article. Of course, I don't have any of the details, but at some point there was this change in the type of banana that was popular in the United States. Like there was this concerted effort to go towards the variety that we now are mostly eating in the U.S., and how that variety has been threatened with a little bit due to climate change, but also disease and monoculture issues, and that we might have to switch up what banana flavor variety we are going to have to eat. It's pretty interesting. I would Google that article. All right, I hope that this next film is not triggering. This is part of the series that was made by the Department of Civil Defense Your Chance to Live series, and so they've done different ones for different types of disasters, and this one's for winter storms. And so I know some of you are in the midst of some winter storms and dealing with that, and so I hope that this isn't going to be something that's going to trouble you. There is some Jack London appropriation. Yeah, I guess. Well, so anyways, there's definitely the mention of a Jack London short story in this, which is a little troubling. But here we go. Here's Winter Storms.
Anybody home?
I'm downstairs.
Okay, I'm coming down. Sid, late as usual. Sorry, man, I left my books at home and I had to go get them. Aren't you watching that show Wilson Assigned on TV?
Seen one guy trekking across Alaska, you seen them all.
Looks like another commercial.
When winter storms strike urban areas, many things may happen. Schools close, traffic snarls, businesses are hurt, and people are killed. But the number of people killed or injured by winter storms would be considerably reduced if some simple rules were followed. Don't drive if you can help it. If you must, drive slowly, defensively, and be sure your car is winterized. Walk carefully and don't take unnecessary chances. Footing can be treacherous, and drivers can easily lose control of their cars. Don't overexert yourself, and you can help it. Stay indoors during cold snaps and storms unless you're in top physical condition. Heart attacks are a common cause of death during winter storms. Winter storms come in many forms: ice, sleet, heavy snow, and extremely low temperatures. So remember, pay attention to official bulletins. Now, back to part 3 of Jack London's classic story, To Build a Fire.
The man was a newcomer to the land, a Chichaco, one of many, dragged from every corner of the world by the news of the Klondike strike. This was his first winter. The trouble with him was that he was without imagination. He was quick and alert in the things of life, but only in the things, not in the significances. The tremendous cold made no impression on the man. 50 degrees below zero meant 80-odd degrees of frost. Such a fact impressed him as being cold and uncomfortable, and that was all. It did not lead him to meditate upon his frailty as a creature of temperature, and upon man's frailty in general, able only to live within certain narrow limits of heat and cold. 50 degrees below zero stood for a bite of frost that hurt, and that must be guarded against by the use of ear flaps, mittens, thick socks, and warm moccasins. 50 degrees below zero. He remembered the advice of the old-timer on Sulphur Creek. The old-timer had been very serious in laying down the law that no man must travel alone in the Klondike after 50 below. Well, here he was. He'd had the accident. He was alone. And he had saved himself. All a man has to do is to keep his head, and he's all right. Any man who's a man could travel alone. He had not thought his fingers could go lifeless in so short a time. The wires were pretty well down between him and his finger ends.
Another commercial. Be quiet, Sid.
Winter in the country can be beautiful. But a winter storm can produce double problems for people in rural areas. They have to take care of themselves, and in some cases their livestock. But in both cases, thoughtful preparation is essential. Maintain extra supplies of food, medicine, and heating fuel. If a severe storm hits your area, supply carriers may not be able to get through. If you're trapped in a car, don't panic. Stay in the vehicle where you can keep warm and are more likely to be found. Move livestock into shelter areas, and if a storm lasts over 48 hours, emergency feed methods will be needed. In rural areas, make sure you are prepared for winter storms. Now the conclusion of To Build a Fire.
Then the thought came to him that the frozen portions of his body must be extending. He tried to keep this thought down, to think of something else. But the thought asserted itself and persisted until it produced a vision of his body totally frozen. This was too much. He made another wild run along the trail.
Leave me alone, you bastard. Oh. Leave me alone, girl.
He'd been making a fool of himself, running around like a chicken with its head cut off. He was bound to freeze anyway, and he might as well take it decently. Good idea, he thought, to sleep off to death. It was like taking an anesthetic.
You was right, old-timer. You was right.
Never in the dog's experience had it known a man to sit like that in the snow and make no fire. But the man remained silent. As the twilight drew on, the dog's eager yearning for the fire mastered it. It caught the scent of death and backed away. The far northwest of Canada, the Klondike. Here in 1896, George Washington Carmack struck gold. As news reached the outside world, a stampede followed. 1 million made plans to join the rush for gold. 100,000 set out. Only 40,000 made it. Some found a fortune. Others turned back empty-handed. But without exception, they were completely unprepared for the severity of the winter in the Klondike.
Sid, wake up. Stop daydreaming. Get up. Wow, I shouldn't have done it. I should have listened. The old man at Sulphur Creek was right.
The trouble with him was that he was without imagination. He was quick and alert in the things of life, but only in the things, not in the significances.
just watching that film got me cold. I'm down here in the basement, and I was fine with the t-shirt, but man, when that hear that wind blowing and see all the footage and the guy freezing to death, it got me kind of cold. Anyways, thanks for joining me today. All of you without power or that are dealing with the winter weather, please strive to keep warm. I know it's hard with the pandemic because normally what we would do is just kind of all group together. But I'm thinking about you guys, and hopefully you'll get your power back soon. And everybody else, thanks again for tuning in. Hit like or subscribe. You can buy some nice warm coffee from this link And then also you can go to avgeeks.com and see other things that we've posted online and DVDs that we have for sale. We'll be back again tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Everybody, please take care of yourselves. As always, these mittens make it hard for me to use the mouse. Please rewind, take care of yourself, and love each other, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.